of your head,
Glasses.
Chad, or you want?
Yeah, I'll
so
take,
it's
I
up
don't
to
need
you.
them really. I'm not reading anything.
No,
so
it's all right.
I haven't got a pocket.
Just in case. That's one of those.
Steamed up they have. TK Maxx.
You got the
£2
quality
from
ones.
TK Maxx, yeah. The plus twos, they're great, you know.
Yeah.
Well, I went to the opticians and they said it was like 500 quid, I think it was, for some Nikon ones, and I just thought, wow, really?
Did you get your eyes tested quite a lot?
No, well, I did it. I started getting them tested about 3 years ago when I became somewhere in my mid-40s.
Right. Is that when the shift changes, when you notice the difference in like
the elasticity in your eyes?
You can't see the peak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the elasticity in your eyes at 40 apparently.
Really?
The optician was like, yep, it's the same with
I've always worried about that because you don't think about it until it starts to happen.
I know.
Because my mum wears contact lenses, and you don't say, "Oh, your mum doesn't wear glasses." Oh, she's been wearing contact lenses for 20 years, so she's always had an issue. But mine are pretty good, and I'm always aware of what happens if they start to deteriorate.
Yeah.
I'm guessing your eyes are the most important thing on your body, eh?
Yeah. I mean, you've got your diopter on your eyepiece, so you can adjust it,
right?
Which is very handy.
Yeah.
But even it's the menus, because the menus are so small on the cameras, and you get so used to being able to just read, and then it's like, oh, you're like that, you're moving it back, and you're like, I need glasses, you know.
Yeah.
But
so
it's good.
You moved into glasses,
but it's good because it's like a fashion accessory as well.
Yeah.
You know, you can sort of put them on, and you can look like
some big kind of Scorsese mom
that's right,
glasses. Yeah.
You can look like some intellectual from New York from the 30s, you know, or whatever it is. Whatever floats.
Yeah. Chad's got his glasses on. He's thinking. He's got.
Put these on. And you know, it gives me a totally different look. And, you know, it's like, you know. And then that's just me without them.
Do you talk differently when you put them on?
Sometimes, yeah.
Does the dialect get cleaner? So
use bigger words.
So thanks for doing this, Chad. It's nice to sit down with you and have a little chat. Because last time I saw you, we were on a job in a forest. I saw you on the morning, and then I saw you when it was dark. And
that's right.
All I saw was you just buzzing around, kind of solving problems constantly, which is part of the job. And then all I was doing is kind of waiting for you to finish doing your thing, and then me jumping in and doing my thing. And then you're like, "You done? Yep." All right. Yeah. And then he was off somewhere else. And for me, it's I've got so much respect for you. I mean, the first time I saw you as well, just when you were lighting things, when just your work ethic really stood out to me, and I was just like, you know, I tip my hat to that fella.
Oh,
but
thanks.
I never had a chance to sit down and actually talk to you. And I think it was sort of 3 jobs in by the time. I think it was the Ladbrokes one with Brian Blessed. Was actually I might have a chance to talk to Chad for once, because you're always like super on it and super busy.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd love to work with you, you know, together doing something else as well at some point in the future. So hopefully that's going to happen. But yeah, it was just that and everything I saw you doing. You lighting, just the way you were shooting, the way you went about the sets. It was just sort of this guy is on it. He knows what he's doing, you know. So I don't know whether you hear compliments a lot. It's always hard for me. I can't take a compliment for anything. So
I know it's funny, isn't it, when you get compliments, you're like, I don't know what to do.
I don't know what to do. Should I say thank you or whatever? But yeah, I just wanted to say that, and you know, that's why I wanted to come down and sit and have a chat.
It's really nice to see you.
Force you to sit across the table from me and have a conversation. So I'm going to lock you in and go, right, how does his brain work? And that's pretty much what we're going to do. I know it'll be quite a long, in-depth conversation, so we can start wherever. But I wanted to start. We were chatting before about long-form conversations, and you were saying, I said I don't listen to the radio. I've been listening to podcasts for like over 4 years, because you can dial into certain kind of subjects and topics and in interesting areas. Sometimes, you know, the kind of it could be crime, it could be drama, it could be comedy, it could be you know, there's various different things, but the long form conversation, I think that's where it is. Right. Definitely where it is for me anyway. I'm more interested in that than anything else.
That's interesting, isn't it? Because at the moment the trend has been to have things within, you know, 30 seconds or, you know, 10 seconds even, or and trying to produce these really small things to get people's attention.
Yeah, it's
on
bite-sized
social
stuff,
media.
isn't it?
Yeah.
But the bite-size leads to the big stuff.
Yeah.
And most of the conversations, most of the podcasts out there as well are long. I mean, you know, the longest ones are, you know, it could be 2-3 hours. But the thing is, you can dip in and out. You can it's almost like you're watching a TV series. I'll pause it and I'll go back.
Yeah.
So I think that's the beauty of it. Whereas radio, you turn the car off and you missed that. You've missed that conversation and you can't really go back to it. You've got to really seek it out. Whereas the podcast, you're in control and it's nice to do that. And you can, I don't know, you can discover people from listening to podcasts as well who you wouldn't normally get a chance to listen to as well.
Yeah, the Sounds app, I've been using that quite a bit on the BBC Sounds, which is their new kind of platform for radio. And it's... Yes, I was saying before, any artists. I think it's any artist, not any artists, only artists. Any artist. It's like that's you and me, innit? Yeah. Here we are. Only artists, and it's a similar sort of platform where you get an artist who likes the work of another, or they appreciate each other's work, and one goes to visit the other one, and they just chat in the studio or wherever it is that they meet, and it could be an actor, an artist, or a composer, and an actor, and it's a great format because it's very open, very loose, and it's real as well. I think that's what comes across. It's quite genuine, really, and I like that.
Well, I think that is the good thing about podcasts as well. It's you get the conversation, you get the the airs, and I don't see anything wrong with that because that is a conversation. Yeah. People, you might slip up and might not get to the point, and my brain can't keep up with the mouth, and it doesn't kind of spit it out fast enough.
Yeah, I'm like that,
and I'm terrible. I'm not very articulate, but. I'm intrigued and interested, and I've got a lot of questions going through the head. So that's why, and sitting down with somebody like yourself and going, well, this is a good excuse to find out more about you. And that was when you mentioned that the only artist thing, it kind of reminded me of Iconoclasts, which was or still is, I think. It was on Discovery and they filmed it, and one of the main ones was Eddie Vedder and Laird Hamilton, the surfer, and they came together. And it was just two worlds, but they went out surfing and the music, and he was writing the soundtrack to Into the Wild at the time. He was doing a lot of the ukulele stuff. So you saw a little bit of him writing the stuff when he was in the surf. So In the Surf was kind of influencing him on writing that. It was Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam.
Right.
So it was interesting, these two worlds, and they did lots of different ones, whereas two different people, two different artists came together and just entered each other's worlds and were asking questions and, how do you do this? And, because it's very much, I think a creative mind is very similar. Yeah. It's just a different avenue. Yeah. So, I do film stills yourself, but it's very visual. So
it is,
we can obviously see things before they happen and create things from nothing, and
you kind of train your eye for it, don't you, after doing it for you do it for years, and you just spot things because you're so used to doing that anyway as part of your job. It's like, and it becomes it's just a way of kind of seeing the world, I think, around you're constantly looking at the world through the frame almost. And,
it is quite annoying because you see so many things which you pick up on all the time, and you've got to kind of step back a bit. Plus I think with working on sets and working so fast, even if you're doing something around the house, you're doing something at like top speed. Yeah, it's just because you get used to doing something so fast. Yeah, and even eating food, I can eat on the go. I can there's no lunch break in the day. I'm sitting eating as I'm doing something else, and you know what that's like. You've got to grab it when you can, kind of thing.
Sometimes you do, don't you? I know. Yeah, I mean, I always like a dinner break if I can have one. But you know.
Well, I think for me it's always important, and you can tell the lull of the chemistry around the set because. Everyone's getting hungry.
Yeah, hungry.
It's that time, hungry. Well, it exists for a reason.
It's a thing.
And I think even if people just picked whatever and had something to eat just before that 2:00 lunch, that's quite a long time, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Especially when you start at
7:30 or whatever it is.
I know. So you had breakfast, and then there's a massive period. Yeah, they bring out snacks and stuff like that, but not when you're on. Yeah. You haven't got time to do that.
You haven't got time at all, and it's like you can't. You're just constantly on it, aren't you? And all you're trying to do is keep everything running to schedule, because if you don't, then you're behind, then you're running late, and they've only got one day to do it, and you've only got the actors for a day, and you've only got your crew for a day, and it's pressure, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I mean, do you feel a lot of pressure on shoots? Because for me, how do you class yourself? Because I know DOP is a common terminology for what you do.
Yeah.
Camera op, DOP.
I mean, if I'm lighting something, then I'll be a director of photography on a commercial because I'm lighting it, and I usually operate myself.
Yeah.
You know, I like operating myself as well as lighting. Some jobs I'll get where I'm just operating. They'll say, "Can you turn up? Don't need anything. Just turn up and put the camera together and shoot," and then I'll be operating. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's you seem to be more involved than a lot of DOPs I've seen on sets. I mean, everyone has a role or whatever it is, but it depends on the job, which is definitely it.
I think I'm very hands-on. I think if I spot something, I sometimes think, well, it'd be quicker if I just do that than ask him over there because he's busy doing that. Yeah. And it's like, tell you what, I'll just do that. Yeah. Or just tweak that, that reflector there or whatever it is.
Yeah, and that's what I saw you doing and the work ethic thing, because you were just doing everything. You were just buzzing around. I thought, well, yeah, because it's quicker for you to do it. Plus, you're seeing it through the lens and you know what to move, and by the time you've kind of communicated that with somebody else, they've moved it, and you've still got to tweak it anyway. I mean, I do that myself with the lights. You've got to just place them in the areas, and then I'll come over and I'll kind of
put them where
I want them, really, because you can see it, and it's that little niggle left or right, or that little flag off here, there, and where they're going to be and where they're going to walk into the room or whatever it is. It's very precise, and only you can see that. Nobody can kind of read your mind.
I think it depends on the team as well, and the size of the team, which is all down to budget as well. If you've got a few people and on your team, and you can be a bit more prescriptive about what their role or what they're doing, and they can be on it more, and you can just stay on the camera and you can just say, right, that can you just shift that to that there, and then you're not, but if it's only you and somebody else, say, you and two others, and they're busy trying to set up the next setup, then you can't just pull them back off and say, can you do that, because you're going to slow the next setup down. And
so is that, I mean, that's probably how you learn to become who you are, really.
I think so.
It's from low budget because you didn't have the luxury.
Yeah.
So is that, but you've still got that mentality, it seems. You've still got that kind of...
It's funny, isn't it?
That work ethic there.
Because it is.
You're so used to doing it. I know you might not have to do it, but for me, that's why I was kind of, this guy, he's on it all the time, and Chad's, he's, for me, you're kind of number one, and then he's set. It's not... I know it's a team effort, but the job couldn't be done without yourself, And does that mentality come from you working up from the bottom rung of the ladder?
I think it probably does, yeah. Because I've worked on feature films and I've worked on big budget jobs, and I think from being a runner, a trainee assistant. From 20 years ago.
Oh, so that's how you started as well?
Yeah. I mean, I went to art school, and I always thought I'll do painting. That was my thing, painting and drawing. Love it. Print as well, and I also thought that was my medium, and that I would make enough money doing film to support that.
Yeah.
But then I've got to the point now where I realise that to do that, you have to be in your studio all the time. To be consistent with painting, you've got to, and yet I haven't got time to go travelling around the country doing my film work. Come back, I'm going to go into my studio now. It's just not practical, really. So I think what we were saying, back to working your way up. I think when I do go back when I'm on jobs which are well crewed and they've got decent budgets, you really appreciate the crew because you can really focus on what you're trying to do without having to be distracted by running off and doing that and doing this and doing that. Yeah. And so you can really produce some, quality work because everybody knows what they're doing and there's like not a shortage of people. Yeah. But I think that hands-on approach has come from where you've got very small crews. Yeah. and you just get on with it. You think, right, you know that needs doing, that needs doing, that needs doing, and you keep. It's like you're filling in the picture all the time. You keep adding to it until you know you haven't got time left, and it's like, right, okay, you can do the take now. Did you do the take and you get it, and you get it in like whatever it is, 2 takes or whatever. It's like, right, move on, quick, move on to the next thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. It is nice when you have got a little bit of breathing room, because you can sit back and go, actually, this is how a bigger budget production works, and it's nice to have that luxury, but it's not always the case.
No, it's not. And especially on personal projects, when you're doing your own thing, it's like you people are just doing it voluntarily, and you're like, well, you can't. You can only do what you can do with the people you've got. But usually on those things, people are doing it because they're passionate about it, and they're kind of all mucking anyway, so it's not quite the same structure as a film or a drama. Or
For me, I mean, that's obviously that's kind of how everybody starts out anyway, because of the love of the thing and wanting to do it. Yeah. So I think, for me, I've got to still do that, and I seek that out all of the time, and it's still in me. I have to do that as well as doing the work that I'm commissioned to do. I mean, how important is that for you as well?
Doing my own work,
doing your own work,
it's vital. I think it's what keeps your creative muscle, pumped, and your brain ticking over. And there's a difference between, I think, being a technician and doing a job where there's a specific way of doing something, and having a creative, artistic kind of interpretation of doing your craft or making your own work. And I think that's I think it's really important to do that, but not for everyone. I mean, it is for me personally though, because it's just a progression of doing my own painting and drawing. Yeah, it's that, but
it's possibly
it's just moving mediums. Being able to what's the word? Put yourself into another medium, really, and use that to express yourself, or to express an idea, or to tell a story, or to put a concept across, or whatever it is you feel that what you're about at the time.
Yeah, because I mean, it's all down to sort of timing, and if you have the time to do the personal stuff. Because I know a lot of people don't have the time to do it, but I do think it's important to try and get it done. And there's always, for me, if you really want to do it, you will do it. You'll make time to be creative on your own and do the thing you want to do. You might get lucky. You might do all of the personal stuff. You might be able to shoehorn in and a commission, but I think that's quite rare, and I think it's quite tricky.
I think so too.
Unless you're really the top of your level, and you've got that sway to do anything you really want to do.
But I think it's also about creating your own style. Doing that, you never develop your own style if you don't give yourself the time to do that. You have your own creative time. Yeah. Because you're always doing something for somebody else. Yeah. Because you always have to. There's a brief. Yeah. This is how it looks. This is how it has looked in the past. It might be something new, but we wanted to look at it like this. We like that lighting you did on there, or that kind of filming. Can you do that? Yeah. So you can. You build on that, or you recreate that, or you interpret that in a way that fits that brief. But it isn't you going free reign on an idea, which could be like, anything really. Yeah. Which that's what really makes me buzz and what makes me tick. When I've got something I can go, I like the idea of working with this. I'm going to go out. I'm going to get an actor friend or whoever, and we're going to do this over 2 days. Yeah. And that can be anything at all. And that for me is really rewarding, and it feeds back into your work, and it also develops a style of your own, because no one else can do that for you.
Well, I think it helps, because if you're playing around personally, then you can introduce that to some work as well. You can actually go, I've been playing around with this idea, and this might work for this actually. Yeah. And let's try this, even if it's a different technique or a different lighting or just a way of kind of moving. You might go, actually, I'm going to do it in one shot. Let's try that. Let's see what we can get from that, and just challenge yourself. So long conversation. But I mean, do you find you could get complacent when you're just doing work all the time? Do you get a little bit kind of, I don't know, do you think the passion dies a little bit, because if you're always constantly on commission? So if you're doing like 3 months solid on set, you think, I just need to get a bit of downtime and a little bit of space away from this.
I think with commercials you don't, because it's always 3 days, 2 days, 4 days.
Mm-hmm.
So it's always quite short stints of time, and because it's commercial, the nature of that is that they're selling new things all the time. So there's always something slightly different. It might be the colour, it might be the set, it might be the models, whatever it is. There's always something new coming into it. So I think that kind of, I don't think I get complacent with it.
Yeah, it's kind of a perfect world because you can dip in and out to that world in 3 days, 4 days.
You can.
So
and sometimes there's always new toys or whatever to bring in there to achieve the brief. You know, it might be something that they need, a bit of kit, a bit of lighting, or whatever it is, and then you can kind of have a bit of experience using something you've not used before, and then you can bring that back into your own sort of practice. You know, when you do your own stuff, if you can afford it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do you find yourself sort of trying that on sets as well, or even in commissions? You go, actually, can we get this? Because you want to play around with a lens, or you want to play around with a new kind of bit of kit.
I'm trying to think of an example now. Do I? Maybe I don't. I think I do.
Yeah.
It might be a certain type of reflector, or or coloured gel. Yeah.
I think that's what people bring you on board for. It's for your eye and your vision. Because for me, you make things look good, and you make things work, and you light things well, and without yourself, that wouldn't happen. So for me, it's like the biggest spoke in the wheel. For me, that's how I see DOPs. I had this conversation yesterday as well, and a friend of mine was saying, well, the editor as well, and the editor is so important, and it is a team effort.
Yeah.
And, I mean, do you find it, do these people do you think they get enough props for doing that kind of stuff, for that kind of work?
Who?
The people, the rest of the people who work on the set. So, like the editor, DOP, and the team, do you feel like there's an even share?
It's interesting, isn't it?
In credits, if you know what I mean. So, because we all know, I mean, when you go on, if you talk to the director, he's like, I couldn't do it without the team, and he gets that. But from the outside looking in, and somebody who doesn't know that world, they just go, oh, well,
that's
it's directed by this guy.
Yeah, they do
well,
see
no,
that,
it's like the top editor. You don't even know who this person is, but they're an integral part of that team.
Yeah, and I think it depends on the actual project and the team. I think each project or each job you do is, some people bring different things to the project, don't they? You might get a director who's brilliant at ideas and implementing those ideas with actors, and a set.
Yeah.
And you facilitate that as a DOP.
Yeah.
Or you might get a DOP who's brings a lot to a project, and that isn't always recognised as, as I guess, as it should be.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, does it bother you or not? Because for me, it's... Because if a photographer does both, you direct, you take photographs, and obviously moving into doing a little bit of film as well, you're doing personal things, like you said, you've got to do everything yourself because you're directing, and because it's your idea, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you've got a small crew.
Yeah.
So do you feel, I don't know, do you feel a little left out sometimes when that's happening or not? Is it kind of?
I think it's about, if I can achieve what I want to achieve visually.
Yes. Yeah.
Then I think that is the most important thing.
Yeah.
And then I think I don't know, I suppose you're talking about accolades afterwards and people recognising that and being able to.
Yeah. Because we all get it. We all get into it because we want to do it, and you want to create something, and get the commercial world is a team effort because you couldn't do it without the team. But I just see, there's a lot of kind of, I don't know, the DOPs. There's a lot of top end DOPs getting hired because if it wasn't for them, this wouldn't look half as good.
Yeah,
without them,
absolutely, yeah, and the relationship is really important though between the director and DP. I think. Yeah,
because a lot of people come as a team, don't they?
Yeah.
The director and the DOP come together.
Yeah, quite often. Yeah. Your director will go, right, I always just work with this guy because I like working with him, and they like working with him because there's a relationship there which has happened over years or whatever it is, because what. It's like symbiotic, their director is doing their job, and the DOP is the kind of their eyes almost. They can put that into the set, into the frame, into the colour, into bringing that to life really.
So how did you come about as well, kind of being DOP? Because you were talking like passionately about art and painting as well.
It's funny, isn't it? It's got because I did painting, drawing and print and art school, and then I did theatre as a degree, but I carried on painting because I thought, well, if I did painting, they'll just try and steer you down whatever was trending at the time in art schools. Yeah, I thought, well, I kind of know what I was doing. I didn't want to be sort of steered down, so I carried on doing the painting, but I did theatre as the option. Mm-hmm. And I think it was doing the theatre that we did a lot of site-specific work, and we did, this was in the 90s when all that kind of thing was trending, and who was the artist at the time? God. Like Tracy Emin, and there's all those people who were doing
they were starting out,
these
weren't they?
Bits, these types of work where they would just put something up there and sit in it, and and we're doing a lot of video work while we're doing that as well. So we're filming, and I think it was from doing that I got interested in doing filming, and then I worked at Paramount. I think it was Paramount Channel for a while in set design. Just to get a bit of work experience, and then it was kind of from that really I thought, well, I'm quite interested in being behind the camera and doing stuff like, and then it just went from there. And then I got work up north again doing as a runner on commercials, and I worked as a runner, and then as a kind of in trainee positions, and then I just like that, and I'd always taken photographs. That's the thing, because I spent years traveling before I went to college or doing any of that, and I always carried a camera with me, so I always took shots from all over, hitchhiking all over Europe as with a rucksack on my back, and meeting people and
So how long were you kind of doing that thing for? How long were you doing the running and?
I don't know, a few years I think.
And was it kind of a nice sort of moving on to assistant DOP, and then did you kind
of sort of running T-boy, kind of running around on set, on set making teas, cups of teas, running off, doing that. I did a bit of that in London. I did a bit in Brighton. Then I moved up north and started doing it up here, and then. I don't know. I guess it was in the second year I got a job doing. It was on a feature film as a camera trainee on a sort of biggish feature that Granada were doing in Manchester. It was with Julie Walters and Paul Reiser.
Okay.
And that was like 6 weeks of being battered around the head by by the assistant camera and the camera crew, and because I was so green coming into it. At that age, and then that because it's good doing that kind of thing, because you kind of really there's a real specific way of working, and it's sort of drilled into you. And then after that, I started doing assisting on commercials up north, and then carried on doing that, and then doing a bits of operating, and then started on sort of low budget commercials, doing a little bit of lighting, and then eventually sort of moved from that up into. But I did 10 years, probably about on and off, 10 years of clapper loading on 35mm, 16mm for commercials. So that was, I worked on film for quite a bit before it all sort of moved across into digital cinematography.
So did it just kind of find its own natural path? So you didn't seek out the TV work, you just went, oh, well, I'm on this job now. And
I kind of moved from job to job, really. And so I didn't, as a result, didn't really do the drama thing, really. I wasn't really involved with the whole drama scene. It's like kind of
3 months kind of solid work and 6 months away and all that kind of thing. I
mean, I've done bits and pieces of drama, but not blocks of it like people do when they do it.
Because it is quite a long haul, isn't it? And imagine doing 16-hour days as well, because we were on set a couple of months ago, and I said to Adam, my assistant, I was like, imagine these guys do this all the time, like every day. And no wonder they're drinking beers on a Friday afternoon when when there's a little bit of downtime, or when they've like, oh, we're finished, we're just wrapping up. Because it's a long time to be on set.
It is a long haul, isn't it?
Yeah, because you just think it's all glamorous on the outside looking in, but when you're actually in it, it is quite hard wearing.
It is, yeah.
And if you're 20 years in, it's, I don't know.
I think you want to be at the top of your game if you're doing it.
You want to be moving up a ladder, don't you?
You want to be
years,
You want to be DPing or directing. I think at our age, if you're doing that, I reckon, because You'd be running around like a headless chicken trying to solve problems.
Yeah.
And you need a decent team, don't you?
Well, you do. I mean, because all that's going to happen is your knees are going to start hurting more. And then, like you mentioned, your eyes are going to start going as well. You get tennis elbow, yeah. And it's cold. You stand outside and your hands start to ache and you can't grip things. And you just go, I just want to go inside and have a cup of tea,
Or a beer.
Or a beer, yeah. I'm waiting for Friday afternoon to come. But, I mean, so what's your main passion? What's your favourite thing to do? Do you have a favourite thing to do, or is it just you like dipping in and out because everything's different?
Ooh, good question. I think it's I'm just exploring with a lens and seeing where that takes me. I did some stuff earlier on in the year with a friend of mine who's an actor who came over for a couple of days to shoot some stuff over here around the area, and it was all based on. I don't know if you know this black paint. Did I mention that?
You mentioned it because I saw it on social media, and I know you mentioned something like that. I think last time we spoke, you had an idea, and you were thinking, well, it's this black paint that doesn't reflect light at all. Yeah. It's super
absorbent.
Yeah,
so I wanted to do something with that, just because it's something new and something a bit different. And so I was playing about with that.
Yeah.
And we made this little film, and the thing about it is because it's very absorbent, you can hold it in front of the. I was holding it in front of the lens and thinking, actually, you can't quite tell where it is.
Yeah.
In perspective to everything else. Yeah. Because it's just sucks all the light in. If you can tweak it a little bit in post as well.
Yeah. So did the idea come from the paint itself, and or did you work the story around the paint, or was it the actor?
It's a really good question.
And then you brought the paint on. So
I remember when the paint came out because it was Vanta Black came out with this paint. Yeah. And it was
because I heard it because is it illegal to paint a car in that?
Well, this is it. Anish Kapoor, that was it.
Yeah.
Patented the use, I believe, of Vanta Black, the paint, for using on his own artistic creations.
How can you do that?
There's another. I know.
We're in a spinning globe.
Yeah.
Who owns anything?
I know. So obviously, Vanta Black owned the rights to the paint.
Well, Vanta, if
and
you created,
was able to come up with a deal with them,
right?
Whatever that was,
right? So the conversation's been had with them.
Yeah.
Because that's how I'm always scratching my head, and how can you own, because some people now are like owning a word. Celebrities are owning a word. Well, that's my word. Yeah, you can kind of trademark your word. A lot of I think I'm sure there's NBA basketball players and all this kind of stuff. They're trademarking certain words and certain terms. I'm like, these words are out in the world. You're not the first person to say these words in combinations. All you're doing is putting a word or some letters together. How can you?
I can't do that.
Yeah. So I've got to pay you money to say a word.
Yeah.
So it just reminds us of that. Sorry, we'll get back to this Vanta Black because I'm fascinated to hear about this Vanta Black. Instead of because we're the chicken or the egg, wasn't it? It's
So where did it come from?
What started? What intrigued you?
It was interesting that I read about that. I was like, oh, that's amazing that and I saw a bit of stuff online where the shot thing with a flat, like I don't know, it was a mask or something. It was, and they painted the inside of it.
All right, okay.
And the other side wasn't painted, and you turned it was a mask, but on the inside it was just an oval.
Right.
You couldn't see the shadow on it.
Yeah.
So that's quite interesting. It'd be interesting to work with that.
Yeah.
But then, so it was, but you couldn't get hold of it because it was only on sale it was only for Anish Kapoor, I think.
Right.
So the artist, was it Stuart Semple, came up with his own version of it.
Yeah.
With his own chemists. And
which wasn't called Vanta
Black. I think it was called Black.
Yes.
Black 1, Black 2. I think there's a Black 3 out now.
All right, okay.
And he produced this paint, which was on sale to everyone, apart from Anish Kapoor. And you have to state that when you buy it, that you're not Anish Kapoor, or you're not buying it for him.
That's a good kind of two fingers,
which I thought was really funny.
I think it is because it's a little bit tongue in cheek, isn't it?
It is tongue in cheek.
I think it is because they're putting it on, and he's probably sitting there going, "Wow, this is not fair." But they're going, "Oh, come on, really, come on." It was just
really,
one of those.
You
might as well just put "come on" the bottom of the tin. I think so. Yeah.
So I thought, oh, that's good. This guy's done it. So I'll buy some of his. So I bought some of that. I thought I'd start playing about with it, and then just in front of the camera, really, and painting spheres with it and holding them in front of the camera. That's interesting. That you can't really see. you know, and then it's like, it's, you know, it's like, you know, it's like a black hole, and you put that in the sky, and you get the you throw it out of focus, you can hold it there, and it's like, what is this weird thing? So then I started playing about the idea of black holes and a negative space within the frame.
Right. Okay.
You know, so you've got negative space in the frame, everything else, and then this black thing, and it's like, you know, what does that make you feel? And you start with something really simple like a sphere and a black sphere, and then just the environment around it. So I started playing about with that. Just shooting things around, just in the area, really, you know, with the landscape in the background, but holding it in.
Yeah,
You know,
well, you got the perfect setting.
Well, it's brilliant.
You?
Yeah, it's lovely.
You can walk behind here, and you can find a lovely kind of scene and setting.
There's some you know, there's some brilliant scenery around where the sea is down there.
Yeah.
So I was playing with that, and I think, what does it mean visually, as a visual, you know, in a visual language, if you just put this big black thing in the middle of this. You know, if it was a painting, and you did a big black circle, in a lovely landscape, what is that? You know, so playing about with that, and then I thought it would be nice to actually interact that with a person, you know, somebody. So you know,
so how does that idea? How did the two worlds kind of come together on that?
Well, we did 2 or 3 days filming around here, and one of them was carrying this big black sphere around, where it was just I had the figure moving through landscape with just these spheres and different environments. And then the other one was holding this sphere and creating a false perspective where there was the sphere there, but I was getting him to interact with the sphere in frame. Okay. So he was like way over there, and the ball was here, but I was saying, right, it's coming towards you. You're gonna react. It's a black hole. It's gonna suck you in. I was giving him direction, and he was playing about with the idea of that. And then we cut that into a film. And then just let it progress completely naturally and organically, and it kind of just, and I cut it into like a, I don't know, it was like was it a 10-minute? Can't remember what it was. Something like a 10-minute film, I think it was, and then popped that into a little festival in Scarborough. It was in earlier on in the year. And it was interesting. And then the sound for that was also through jamming sessions I had with some musicians I play with occasionally, and play music occasionally when I get the time.
I was going to say we've got a guitar on the background, a piano. I was just about to kind of jump onto that conversation as well. No, that's one of my main regrets is not learning. Right. I picked a bass up when I was 14, and it was too hard. It was just one of those I just didn't have the time to do, or the patience. Yeah. If I can't do it straight away, I'll get frustrated. So I thought, I'll do the drums. It's still in my mind. Yeah. I might play the drums one day. You're getting a little bit on here, Dan, if you haven't got much time. But I mean, I'm doing a podcast. This is a midlife crisis right here. So I'll just ask you about the guitar. I mean, obviously you play yourself. Is that right?
I do. I play. Yeah. I mean, I've always played since I was a kid. Really, I never got lessons. I never got music lessons. But my dad's quite musical, and he had a band and stuff when we were kids, and we just picked it up. Really, it was just one of there was always guitars around the house.
So can you read music, or do you just pick it up and play?
No, completely. Yeah. Cannot, I mean, so it's like, to me, it's like tadpoles on wires. I'm like, I have to count. Every good boy deserves food. Right. Oh, that's F. There's a sharp there. It must be F sharp. I mean, that's like.
By the time you've read it, you might as well have figured it out.
I mean, I can play. If I hear something, I can. Someone's buzzing in my pocket. Hold on a second. It's a musician friend of mine just ringing me. That's funny, that, isn't it? When that happens. Yeah. He's a guy I jam with occasionally.
All right, okay. Yeah. You should have got him on.
Should have got him on. Yeah. What I was saying. If I hear music, I can play it, kind of thing, and I can pick it up. So and I always had good pitch when I was little. When I was about 7, I had perfect pitch. I could just tune a guitar up without any reference. Okay. So it was always quite musical, really. Yeah. But I wished in a way I'd had time to progress with that. Yeah, spend more time doing it. I could have probably done all right with it. Yeah. I might have even been, I might have been in a band or something. Yeah. I was in a band at 19, I think I was. Yeah. And with some friends in York when I was doing my BTEC, and we ended up on an LP with all the York bands, and that LP was sent all over the world, and it was in the 90s. This was, and we had a letter back from a radio station in, I think it was Yugoslavia,
Yeah.
and we got to number 5 apparently with the
Really?
song.
Yeah. That's a
That
good
was our
thing.
claim to fame. I was like,
Yeah. Why
that
is
was
this on
my
the wall? You
height.
should have it on the wall. Yeah.
That was good. But I mean, I've always enjoyed playing music, you know, and just jamming, free jamming, and just, you know, playing about with sound and, and all of that. But it's just getting the time, you know. There's so many things I want to do, and it's like it's just doing one thing well, you know, is a struggle, and then.
It is, because it takes your full attention as well.
It does.
And I think most people, when they learn to play the guitar, it's usually the teenage years where you can just totally absorb it.
Yeah.
And you can focus completely on just that one thing, like you're doing now, focusing on one thing, which is your work that you get paid for and you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And as a teenager, what else have you got to do? You just pick the guitar up and nights in the bedroom, just kind of strumming away, trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
I heard somebody mentioned, like, if you want like your kids to see if they're musical or not, just buy a guitar and leave it around the house.
Yeah.
And they might pick it up, and if they pick it up, they'll actually figure it out. So I've heard. That's a thing. So so
I didn't know that.
So I might.
Well, I guess that's what we
buy a
did as
guitar and
kids.
just leave it in the house. Yeah. Well, that's the thing. If it was around and your dad was musical as well, then there's got to be something to be said about that. It's the same with music. I mean, I'm finding my kids are in the car and they'll actually ask for a song to be played.
Yeah.
And they're loving. I'm loving Bad Moon Rising at the minute, because it's the first one that comes. It's the first one that comes on as soon as you put your phone, you plug it in until you hit shuffle.
Right.
So that kicks in straight away.
Yeah.
So they want to hear that, and
American
they love
Werewolf.
it. I know American Werewolf in London. So yeah. So
great song.
I listened to a podcast about Richard Baker, is it, who did all the wolf suit and the costume.
Right. Yeah.
So.
Right.
You should check that out, because it was fascinating.
Yeah.
He's pulling the hairs by hand through.
Yeah, I remember that.
And for me, it was
something about years ago.
I think it's one of those that stood the test of time, because I think it's the first time we've ever seen special effects, but in a fully lit room, because he was transforming in a fully lit room.
Yeah.
And it was all done in camera.
Yeah.
And it was all stages of it.
Yeah.
And it was so.
Was it time lapse that then? Was it like pull all the hairs? Take a frame.
He had to pull all the hairs like one after the other. Yeah, so he did mention he had to pull them all through, and then the film that pulling through. But he said he was on a thread pulling it, so you could kind of film it as it was coming through.
Yeah.
But it was really fascinating how it kind of worked, because everything else the same as Alien. You didn't see anything. It was just a guy with like the top half of a suit, and it was just like doing this through a tunnel.
Yeah.
And it's the Jaws effect. You don't see it for half the film, and then all of a sudden, you're seeing the thing, but you're only seeing a glimpse of it. And I think the scary thing is the idea and the thought of it.
Yeah.
So it's building up that tension.
Building it up, isn't it? Yeah.
And that's what fascinates me about stuff like that. It's building up the tension and then not seeing it.
Yeah.
Now it's we can make it CGI.
Yeah.
Well, let's not show it. I think that's better than actually
more skill
showing
in
a
that,
thing.
I think
there is, because you're building the story up and you're building the tension through not seeing something.
Yeah.
So back in the day, I think that's the first time we actually saw somebody changing into a werewolf, but it was in a fully lit environment, because he was in his room, and he wanted to make it real, so you could feel it as if the bones were stretching, because it's not just sitting in a chair like when they did it. I think in the 40s and the 50s, sitting in a chair and all of a sudden he's Wolfman.
Yeah.
The bones are going to stretch out and all this kind of thing.
About all the detail of it physically, isn't it?
Yeah.
And trying to make that happen in camera. It's great.
Yeah. But I mean, have you kind of come across problems like that as well on set? These kind of problem solving, because I think for me there's a lot of problem solving involved in set life.
There is, isn't there? Yeah.
Have you come across anything like that? You kind of have to figure things out. Or a nice little story where the shit's hit the fan and you've kind of got to figure it out calmly. The duck on the water and his legs are paddling.
I don't want to do
underneath.
many people into it.
No, just kind of mention it. That's all. That's not. It's not dropping people in it. Well, it was his fault and I had to fix it. But just some kind of. It's usually the bad stories that you remember. I always remember the bad. You don't remember the good. We had a great old time and everything went well. You're going, I remember the time when the lights fell down and something broke, and then all of a sudden we had no power and we were stuck in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, you must have a few of those stories.
Yeah, I think. I'm trying to remember now. I'm trying to pull them out of my head.
Yeah. Put you on the spot on a podcast where there's
all these people looking.
There's no words.
3.
3. That's all right. It's 3 people. Who cares?
Mates. Did you see Channel that podcast?
See when
Did
he
he
went
actually
blank.
say that?
Yeah. Was he referring to me then? I guess, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's because for me, it is the problem-solving side of things.
It is, isn't it? Yeah,
And I kind of enjoy that. I like it when there's a new challenge to be, to kind of figure out. And
Yeah.
you must have a lot of those moments, or is there any moments you're thinking, I've never come across this before, and we've figured this out. So then that becomes easy for the next time because you figured something out and you've been on the spot.
The daylight's one, isn't it? When you're running out of daylight and you're like...
Well, that's the thing. Because the problem with that is you can't do anything about that, so you can't fix it. Because I've always thought there's no problem that can't be fixed, but
Unless you've got a nice big, budget for a decent, generator and lighting to you.
Yeah, you can kind of make it...
big 18K up there and you go, there's your daylight.
Yeah.
Just stick that out.
I mean, because time is of the essence. Obviously, every time anyone's doing any TV work, and they're always running behind. It's notorious that they're now running behind because every time there's still people have promised at certain times, you go, yeah, I'll just add another hour onto that. I've been promised 3 things from
you only need one shot.
Yeah. It's quite funny because
it's already lit.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Just jump in, just over. Can you not just shoot over my
shoulder?
shoulder?
Yeah. No. And then it's like that, isn't it? It's like get out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm always doing that. Well, I work with stills photographers quite a bit, and it's always we always find ourselves like trying to nudge each other, especially when you're trying to do it at the same time. It's like you're in the best spot now. Well, this is why I'm here.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Is stealing people's spaces as well. I'm just going to steal your shot. Is that all right? Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's the pressure on the sun going down. I mean, that's you must get used to that, though. You must get used to the pressure.
You do have time for it, and you know by whatever it is, 4:00, and this time of year you've had it, you know. And if you're going to do anything at that time, you should be scheduled in, before then.
Yeah.
And you have to stick to that schedule because if you don't, you're going to have to rethink what your brief's telling you. You need to get.
Because if you miss the sun going down, it's another day you've got to wait.
Yeah. Well, no one can do that, because the budgeted for a day, and that's your day kind of thing, and it's so okay. But that's down to that's also down to the production making sure that it's properly organised and scheduled for the times, and you've got enough time for the turnaround and all the other things you got to do, the location moves and all that within that time frame, whatever that is, it's 2 days or the day or.
And how important do you think people management is? For me, I think it's probably 60% of the job, 20% shooting the thing. I think 60% people management and 20% dealing with the rest of it.
I think there is a lot of that. I think, and just being able to get on with people as well. I think because if I think that's half the battle actually, being able to just be personable and actually. You want people on your side and on your team. You don't want to come across as somebody who's just being bossy and ordering everyone around unnecessarily. I mean, obviously, you need to tell people what to do.
Yeah, when the sun's going down, the pressure's on a little bit. Yeah, people get a bit short of and
you have to be.
There's less of the pleasantries when the sun's going down, but that's. I mean,
you got to get to you got to get your tea, and all that.
Yeah, but I suppose it is part of the job, but as long as no one kind of steps on anyone's toes, I think it's
Yeah, I mean, it's just. I'm trying to think of an example now, though, of where it's all gone.
I'm still pushing you for examples.
I know. I'm trying to think of a funny one. Oh God, there is. They're in there.
That's the thing, because you've probably seen quite a lot of stuff, but yeah. I mean, even working internationally as well, because you've done quite a few things overseas as well.
I've done a few. I like doing those jobs.
Yeah.
Good. I love travelling. I've always loved travelling. You see, so it's in one sense doing the work I do. It's ideal because I'm getting to travel.
Yeah.
And you always meet new teams of people, and there was a slightly different way of doing things in each country.
It's like a holiday recce, isn't it? In a way, because you can see places and then go, actually, I might want to go back to that place. So even in this country, I've been to some beautiful places which I wouldn't normally get to see. Yeah, lots of little like villages and towns. Which actually, I've never been here before. This is fascinating, and I try and seek them out as well. So if I'm, you're staying somewhere in a hotel, you go, actually, I might just get up in the morning and see what's around the village. Yeah, just to see what's out there.
Or even the hotels. Sometimes you get a decent hotel. It's it's really nice little hotel this, come here again, I think.
Yeah, stick it on your list of kind of places to come back to. Yeah. But I mean, whereabouts in the world is one of your favourite places? Obviously throughout travels, because you've done quite a lot of that, and you've seen quite a lot of the world. So where's been your favourite?
It's a really hard question. I've never been to the Americas yet. I've never been west.
Right.
I've always gone sort of east.
Uh-huh.
So I've been as far as Japan,
Uh-huh.
New Zealand, Australia, China, India, Bangladesh, and then most of Europe, all the way down from. I didn't get as far as Finland. I'd like to go to Finland, but yeah, Europe from sort of Denmark down to Spain, south of Spain. And in Africa as well, South Africa.
And what kind of sticks in your memory of kind of one of those places?
South Africa's was an amazing country. Just sticks with you. There's something about it that's just powerful, I think, and sort of intangible in a way you can't quite put your finger on it. But it's quite, there's something very raw about it, but really kind of beautiful as well, and it kind of sticks with you. So that, I've done a few jobs there. But the light is fantastic there. Yeah,
it's consistent.
It's consistent. It goes up, and then it's like it goes sort of across, and then it comes back down again. So it feels like And does it the other way around because you're in the southern hemisphere?
Yeah.
So your shadows go that way around.
Yeah.
Rather than.
So you've got like a good. Way. So you've got a good window of shooting.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously, it must be perfect
you've got,
for yourself.
what was it? We're shooting there. We were up at. The sun was up. Was it 8 o'clock or something in the morning? Then we had till about 6, I think, of solid.
Really.
Sort of light, just like that, all day.
Yeah.
So I mean, for lighting, it's great because you can just, the first time I did a job there, I was thinking, God, check the light meter, and it's like, is that actually reading it properly? Because there's so much, on the light meter.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, how am I going to balance that out? What size lights? And you go around, and there's a lot of people using reflectors, because because it's so consistent, you can just bounce light into the
So what about difficult places to shoot?
What countries wise?
Yeah.
Where's been difficult?
Or just you've had a problem with, or it's been difficult. I mean, for me, it's usually weather-wise, because even though the sun comes up, you've got to battle against the sun. It's all you're trying to keep out of it, even though you want it to be there consistently. Personally, you can't stand outside.
I mean, like Wales, you're shooting Wales, and it's in the pouring rain, and it's lashing down, and you've got to get this shot in like 2 hours, and it's of a car or whatever it is, coming down the road, and that's difficult. Yeah. Because everything's soaking wet. You're trying to keep everything covered up. Your cameras, your lenses from steaming up, and you covered up, and there's water everywhere, and it's like you're trying to communicate with people like half a mile down the road, and your radios are crackling, and it's like. Yeah. I mean, that's tricky, doing that.
It's a knock-on effect, isn't it? Once one thing starts to go, I think everything else starts to go as well. And it's a communication thing. It always usually looks good in the end, but you just get less opportunities to get it again. Yeah. Because it's so hard and you're so up against it, you might get 2 chances to get this thing,
Yeah. I mean, where was it? I mean, where else? I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, it's the weather, isn't it? That generally, I think that makes it difficult.
I think it is the weather.
Climate and weather. Yeah. It's...
because you can't control that, can you?
That's right.
You've got to. I mean,
and studio shoots. All
best intentions. You can bring a big light on and make the sun there, but not when you're shooting outside. You can't really recreate that, or can you recreate that? I don't think I've seen it on a movie before. Well, I've seen it coming through windows and all that kind of stuff, and kind of cheating the light. But
I mean, if you've got banks of massive HMIs, on a hillside, you can light up a large area.
Yeah.
If you're shooting Game of Thrones or whatever, and you've got all that budget to be able to play about with lights, then you can recreate that, I think. Yeah.
I mean, have you ever had the luxury of having that kind of budget?
No.
No?
Not yet. No. Not yet.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah. So what's...
maybe next week.
Yeah. So what's next for you? What kind of... Where's the journey go for yourself? Because you've done it... How many years have you been doing this now, Chad?
20 odd years, I think.
20 odd years.
Yeah, I mean, it started when I was in my 20s.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be at least that.
Yeah. Is it to continue doing what you're doing? Is it to kind of change path? Is it
No, I think continue what I'm doing. It's like build on your strengths and just be more do more my own thing.
Yeah.
Even more my own thing, as well as obviously continue with the commercial end of things, and because I do enjoy working those because it gets you around the world. You meet interesting people. You do you always get to shoot something that's you've not done before. So that kind of satisfies that bit of myself. But on my personal sort of art, path, it's to carry on with my own personal projects really. And
do you find yourself going back to that as well? Do you
always?
I've got to do this. I feel a need.
Yeah,
it's
a completely. Yeah, it's like it is a need. You have to do. I have to do it. Otherwise, I'm just like, what am I doing any of this for?
Yeah.
Why bother? Why bother doing any of it if all you're trying to do is make money?
Yeah, and do someone else's thing.
Yeah. You might as well be doing. You might as well be doing an office job, or whatever. It's like it's one feeds the other. It's like your commercial work feeds the ability to be able to take time to do your own work, and that again feeds back into commercial work because you're playing with ideas which you wouldn't get necessarily opportunity to do that when you're doing it commercially because you've got a brief to stick to. Yeah. But then by doing that, you're also building up your own your own look, your own style, your own palette of tools and of experience and knowledge and all those things you can apply, to an idea. And it's about taking those ideas, personal ideas, and then applying all the things that you learn to those, and then trying to get people drawn into like little projects, and which and then finding platforms as well to put stuff up, galleries or spaces or other collaborators to work with that can then put your work out there and then get more of a following, more of an audience, and more
because it's just
and
more,
generate more more of that kind of work. I think
because it's more people are going to see it. That's all. If you're working with like a team of 4, then there's 4 people to share it as well. And it's quite nice to do that. And it's lovely to work with kind of different people from different walks of life as well. And you just kind of you're seeing a different way of people working as well. And I think you can kind of take that on board, and there's not one day that you can't learn something new. I don't think so.
I think at the end of the day, it's about people. I'm interested in people, and I enjoy working and talking to people. And I get a real buzz from that. And I think if I can do that and carry on doing that, but do it on projects that we all want to work on collaboratively, then it's it's great. And if we can get money for doing that, even better.
So what's next in the what's in the bank in the brain of ideas?
I've got a few.
You must have quite a few kicking around.
Got a few, I've got one which is top secret.
Oh come on!
And I've got another one.
Is it a super white paint? Is it or not?
Might be. It involves people though.
Okay.
And then I've got a few. I've got this one with a musician composer I'm working with just as from yesterday, and that's hopefully for some work for next March. I think it's not Brighton, it's somewhere on the south coast. The piece is going to be, I think, going out. I've got, what else has got going on? I've got a few little things kicking around. I'm doing these little comedies at the moment. I've got an artist friend up here locally who I've been working with, who's is just great to work with. And I said, look, do you want to just go out and play? Because I'm twiddling my fingers here at home. And he was like, yeah, okay. So we've come up with these characters, and we've been just going out in the middle of nowhere and with minimal props.
Okay.
And then it's very ad hoc, very kind of, okay, this is what we've got. It's a one take. It's a little bit like what we're doing here, but like in the middle of, say, the North Yorkshire Moors, and a suitcase, or another prop, and he'll just improvise.
Okay.
And then sound's going down onto these pieces, and they're all about 3 minutes each. And there's about 4 or 5 of them so far. So I'm going to be putting those out shortly in the next few months. That's been good, really good fun, because it's kind of absurdist, a little bit surreal. You don't quite know what's going to happen.
Okay.
And
must be quite fun to play around with that as well.
It's great
play
fun.
Around with the idea.
So I'm doing that. What else am I doing? A lot of textured stuff. I'm playing about with liquids and shooting objects, but in everyday things, but in kind of environments where like dropping things into water or
Right.
you know,
Okay. Is it something? Is that because you've never done it before? Is that the
Yeah,
reason
I'm
why
playing-
you want
I'm
to do
playing
it?
about
So
with
you're
it.
playing around
Playing
and you just
around
want
with
to kind of seek out
see
and
what happens.
see what
Yeah.
happens.
yeah
So it's very much your art background kind of coming into play, isn't it? Because you've
Yeah.
never really lost that, have you?
no
Yeah.
no
Because I mean, it was always important to us. We were always, drilled to us when we were college students as doing your personal projects, and that's the main thing that drives you as well. And when you're showing people your work, people want to see the personal side of what you're doing and what you're developing, because that could feed its way into a commercial development of something,
and you never know what's going to
story-wise,
happen, do you?
Yeah.
You know, that's the beauty of doing it, I think, of experimentation, of allowing yourself to having, like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to spend a day doing this, or half a day, whatever it is. There's always something comes out of those experiments, like with music. You know, if you do music, if you go with an open kind of attitude, it's like, right, we'll just start with these chords and we'll see where that goes, or we'll just start with this frame and this lens, and we'll throw things into it, with a black background, we'll light it from here, and things always come out of those sessions that you can't plan for, that you want, then you can then take in another direction. And I think that's that's creativity, isn't it? That's creating things out of just going, right, I'm going to set this up, but then I don't know exactly where it's going. And it's kind of what you're doing here, I guess, really.
Well, it's kind of having a conversation and see where it's going to go. It is. I mean, do you find you get a little bit of wiggle room on commercial shoots to do that as well? Because it's nice.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, you do. To a degree, I think. Or it might be a problem-solving thing. It's like, how are you going to get? How are you going to get that to do that? Or how are you going to make that
that's
look
not working
like that?
now. Let's do that.
Yeah, let's do it this way around. Yeah. Let's look at it from this angle, or let's try.
Because I've seen people rewriting scenes on set as well. They're just right. Let's sit at a table and rewrite this because it's not working. So, and then they've come up with something else and they've shot in a different way. Right, okay, this isn't working, so we're going to have to do something different in an alternative way. So they'll just sit down and figure it out. Yeah. And I'm always quite fascinated to see that actually it still works, and that mentality of what you're doing in the personal world can work in the commercial world as well. And I think that's kind of makes the skills, and that's what kind of gives you the skills, is doing something like that and being able to be flexible at the time. Yeah. So I think, like you said, there's nothing that you can't take from any experimental shoot or personal shoot as well. So
I mean, there's a beauty as well of being able to shoot something, go out, shoot something, bring it back, put it in the edit suite, and just look at it. You just look at it and think that's really interesting. You get ideas by looking, don't you? You see something and respond to it. Yeah. And then you shoot something, you put it in, and then you look at it, and you respond to it, and it's like, oh yeah, you could put that with that, or you could put that sound to that. Yeah. And you can put a sound to something, and it'll mean something completely different if you use another sound. It's like, and you can build these layers up. Yeah, because that can create a story, or
because it's a feel, isn't it, and a mood and atmosphere. And I think music's quite important. It's probably one of the most important things on film and TV, because if you put the right song over the top of an advert, the heartstrings start pulling, everybody's going to be watching it, and you actually remember that sound or that tune or the lyrics or the words from the advert, not necessarily what the advert was, but you're remembering that, and it's kind of relating to you a certain thing in your life which reminds you of this advert.
I mean, the way that the brain works as well, we respond much more to. There's more of the brain active when there's with sound than there is with anything else, I think. Yeah. So they've done brain scans on people listen to music, and much more of the cortex is active than just looking at visual stimulus. Yeah. So if you've got both, I guess there's a lot going on there in your brain when your brain's responding to. Yeah. I think that's fascinating. The brain science of sound and of looking at images and what that does to the mind, really, and to the brain, and how we as humans respond to those stimulus. Yeah, that's. Really fascinating.
Can you get inspired by music as well? Does something, even just a sound, can inspire you to create something visually? Yeah. Does that come from that side? So it's the sound before the visual?
Sometimes, yeah. You can listen to a piece of music and you can see pictures, happening,
like a storybook kind of thing.
Like just flicking in front of you. That would go with that music. It's yeah. It's
it is strange because even just listening to music, I know a lot of people. I think every single day I listen to music somehow, and I think I'd be lost without music. So if imagine taking all the music away and you couldn't listen to another song,
Yeah.
I think that would be quite a difficult thing because it's very emotive as well, and it kind of creates thought processes, and it creates, I don't know, you can kind of go back to a time of whatever. It's nostalgic as well as creative, and I think most people do like music, but I know some people that don't listen to music.
Yeah, I know
I really can't understand it. I don't understand. So
I was having this conversation the other week actually with somebody.
I've always tried to understand. I'm like, but what do you like instead? How can you not like music? Yeah, it's
I don't understand it.
But it is crazy. I mean, what's that?
It's like saying you don't like looking at things.
Yeah.
It's like,
or the taste of something. I just eat for fuel. I'm like, how can you not love, and seek out food that tastes better than other food? That's delicious. I mean, it's the senses of the human person, the human being.
It's what stimulates us and makes us want to go out there and get more food. Or
it's possibly why we're coffee snobs, kind of sitting here and
you can't be having crap coffee though. It's like you need decent coffee.
But I mean, you mentioned you were talking about this music. You were having this conversation the other week with somebody about music.
Yeah, about music and about a mutual friend of ours who wasn't really into music, quote unquote.
Just could listen to anything, wasn't bothered.
Wasn't really into music. So what? Well, how can you not be into music? It's I don't understand it. But
what's the thing?
Maybe it's a brain thing. Maybe it just doesn't stimulate their brain in the same way as it stimulates most people's brains.
Yeah, because I think a methodical mind is completely different to a creative mind as well. It's like you're talking to yourself about reading music, and for me, it's you're sitting looking at words and numbers. I'm like, just get us out of here. But I can walk into a room and visualize something straight away, and it kind of comes to you straight away, and light and sound and music. Yeah, and I'm more that way. So I think it's definitely. It is about the person and about the DNA and how you formed in a way, because. Just music. I don't know. There's something about that.
Well, I just find it exciting, though.
I'm intrigued to know know why. Why don't you listen like music?
Give you the number.
What is it? Yeah. We can get him on the podcast and kind of talk about that. But it's just fascinating. How different brains work, different people work. You kind of analyze this, too much, or you'll kind of go, well. What makes that person like that? And even like education systems now, you're looking at your kids going, well, that person likes that person likes this. And but why do we have one system of teaching everybody? Yeah. That drives us nuts as well. Why is there only one way of doing something? Yeah. There isn't. There's lots of different ways, but you've got to cater for each different person. I know we can't spend all our time on individual people because the system can't afford that. Yeah. But I mean, how do you deal with that kind of thing? I mean, was that something for, like, as a kid you had a problem with? I
just jump from thing to thing. I'm a bit like, I want to do that now. I want to do that now. I want to do that now.
Yeah.
I want to do that.
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes it feels like I'm spreading myself too thin. And no, I have to really focus on one thing. I have to do that. Otherwise, I'm never going to get anything done at all. It'd just be like unfinished projects all around me. I'm just sat there in the middle of it going, I've really done anything, have I? It's been 10 years now. Here we are. Just all these half-done things. Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I think the music and sound. It's not just music; it's sound as well. It's being able to listen to sound. Record sound. I mean, I love going around with two microphones where you've got stereo. Both ears, two microphones. Yeah. Go for a walk. Do that and just pick sounds up, and that creates images in my head. Just doing that. Yeah. And then combining that with then going out and doing some filming. And then putting those together, layering that up. It's a really exciting way of working because it's like. You're just stepping inside someone's, reality in a way. Yeah. Just go, here's this is how I see the world, and this is how I listen to it, and it's really exciting. Actually. Yeah.
I saw there was a clip, a very similar clip, last week. I think it was Gogglebox. I was watching Trash TV on Friday night, but it was interesting because you see in clips, and even that's like it's an experiment, or it's just kind of it's you're watching human behaviour and you're watching people interacting, and everyone has a similar reaction to certain things as well, and that's fascinating just to see that, you know. So you're watching these things, analysing, it's quite intriguing. It is. I think it's quite fascinating. So, but there was a clip, and there was a reporter, a journalist, and he was the TV show was him going around recording wind outside, and he got a barrage of abuse from everybody. Well, what's he doing? He's just recording it. What's this nutcase doing? And all this kind of thing. And I turned to my wife, I was like, that actually looks quite interesting. I'm like, and she turned to me and said, I'm quite interested to say that, because he was just lying. He was in a lovely open landscape. You know yourself, when you go, even if you're doing a rec or you're going out to shoot something, there's only you in the middle of nowhere, and all you can hear is the wind, the shore. Just you can just hear the rustle of trees. You can hear a bird or something like that. I like that.
I do. I love it.
And this guy was getting barrage of abuse, and I'm like, right, okay.
What's wrong with people?
Yeah. I'm on his team. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah. Does that? I don't know whether it's an age thing or I think it's a creative thing. I don't think it is, because
I remember doing it years and years and years and years ago. You know, when I was much younger, and listening and thinking, that's amazing. You know, having a microphone and being able to listen and record the sounds of,
observe just the sound.
It could be light rain on a tin roof. Just doing that, pattering, and that, if you've got your eyes closed and you're listening to that, you know, what image does that conjure up? You know, what does that do to you? Just listening to that rain. It doesn't do nothing, does it? It does. Things start happening in your head when you hear that. Yeah. And then, you know, I like the idea of building up pieces of work with you know, start with sound, layer some sound, and then start adding in what images come to your mind. You know, go out and get them. You know, and you've got that. It's exciting. You know, it's like
that's interesting, because you don't have the visual, but you've got the sound. But if you close your eyes, then what will appear in front of your eyes, inside in your kind of memory mind sort of thing. So you can kind of create a scene, and you can create this atmosphere just through sound. And I mean,
there's apps for that now, isn't there? You know, you can listen to whatever it is to put yourself to sleep and things. You know, but it's like you can just go and do it, can't you? And create your own from real events. You know. I love all that.
Yeah, but there's something nice about that, even just that alone time as well, because we spend a lot of time, you know, around other people and being people, and that's, I love that, but I like dipping in and out, and I love the space of just, there's nothing better than standing in a field watching the sunrise, waiting for that moment, and the weather changing in front of you. Yeah, just the horizon, the light, the atmosphere, everything's kind of changing in front of your eyes, and there's only you to witness that. There's something nice and enjoyable about that.
What is that, though? Is it the connectedness, do you think?
Possibly, yeah.
There's something very powerful about that, isn't it? I mean,
there is, because I can't see anybody who doesn't like to watch a sunrise, because everybody goes, oh no, I don't know what you're talking about. But when you go on holiday, that's acceptable to go and sit and watch the sunrise and sunset. Yeah. So why is it not acceptable to do it in our own lives? I know we're busy, but we come back in it, and it's like, so, you know, people who go and travel and then they go, oh yeah, I had a fantastic time, and then they want to come back and do the same thing and have the same attitude of what they've just been traveling with, but you get caught into daily life, and it kind of dissipates a little bit.
Yeah, you have to make time and space for it, I think, don't you?
I think so, yeah. But if you make time and space for it, I mean, it's like, oh well, why are you doing this and why are you doing that, and you're not busy, or you're not doing this, you're not doing that. Well, yeah, but
I think you just don't tell anyone. You just do it. You
do that.
You have to build it into the travel time. I mean, I've done that sometimes where there's obviously loads of really beautiful woods around here, and you know, places, and where I've gone in the summertime, it's like there's a really nice wood there. I'm just going to spend half an hour there on my way to, say, London or Manchester, wherever it is I'm shooting. Yeah. Just go there first, you know, and spend like half an hour walking around in a bluebell wood. You know, it's like, and I'll just sit in there, and it's a really nice thing to do.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, because I do the same thing.
I'll take my camera with me, obviously.
Early morning. Well, you've got to justify
really nice picture there.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I know we've got phones now, so that little, you know, hipster camera thing. It used to be like, we used to carry a pocket camera around when we were at college, but now it's become the phone. I mean, do you still do that?
I don't like using my phone for cameras, really. It's just because of the aspect of the lens. It's always a bit like squashed and flattened, and you know, I know the cameras are getting better and better now on phones, but
I mean, do you feel you would do something with it if you took it on an actual camera, a professional camera?
Well, I haven't done yet because I've got stuff. It's still on a hard drive,
right?
But it's really nice footage. It's just I haven't done anything with it.
So
I almost need a doppelganger of me as an editor who can just sit at home and I just go, there you go, there you go, there you go, there you go. Yeah. And he can just do all that. I clone myself as an editor, and I can just the cloned me can just do all the editing. Yeah. and I can go out and get all the all the sounds and all the images. It'd be perfect.
Well, I mean, I'm intrigued to see what you do with this this sound and music thing, because it clearly is a passion, and it kind of every time we're talking about personal stuff, you can see the fires are lit, and you're really passionate
it's the
about
silences
that,
as well, though, isn't it? When because sound is obviously as soon as you put sound to an image, it creates meaning, or you interpret that in your own way, but it means something to you, for whatever reason. But then, where you've got silences, that also creates some kind of tension, doesn't it? You can. It's like because you're waiting when there's no sound.
Yeah.
You're listening for something, and it's like you're doing that, and then whatever sound you put in there. Yeah. This is what when I did this piece with the black hole piece. This is what I was playing with. I was playing with silences as well within the soundscape I did for it. So there was times when you could hardly hear anything, and then you would just hear a bit of wind in the grass, and it's like you're really listening, and then it draws you in, it brings you in that, because you have to kind of get near to it to try and figure out what's going on, and then it's like then you'll bring the sound in, and it's like all right, there's some sound, then you can lead with the sound, and it's a fascinating way of working. It's fun.
I'm just going to leave a big gap and a pause.
It's 1 minute silence.
Brilliant. All right, well, we'll end on that note, Chad, but that's been really good to talk to you. I've enjoyed it.
It's been fun.
It's been intriguing.
Yeah. I feel like we haven't really covered, much of it at all, maybe 10%, but,
Well, that's it. That's
the iceberg, isn't it?
Well, that's the thing. This is what it's all about. It's kind of just having a chat and seeing where it goes, and it can go anywhere.
Well, thanks for coming along.
That's all right. Thanks for letting us do it in your home, and
that's lovely. Yeah.
I want to see you playing the guitar now. So I'm intrigued. Okay. All right. Cheers, Chad. Thank you.
No,
cheers.
I need a wee.